My question is, can you say, because from the beginning you made it clear that you do not want to hear about the sit-at-home syndrome that many people see as a big disincentive to business. Can you say with finality that you have achieved your aim of defeating the sit-at-home syndrome? Can we say that across the length and breadth of your state, including the hinterland, that the sit-at-home syndrome is now a thing of the past?
Thank you. So one thing that was very clear from when we were going out to campaign was the absolute clarity of vision where we wanted to take our people to. And recall I had said something about disruptive innovation, which meant that the model, the trend we did in terms of our growth rates over the years, we felt that that was not sustainable and that was not going to take us to the promised land. So we said something to our people. We said we're going to, the vision we have is to grow the economy from the current level of $4.4 billion to $30 billion. So that's not marginal, that's exponential, right? So we also said that we're going to achieve a 0% rate in our poverty headcount index. That is coming from a 58% poverty rate to 0. So those would require you to do things differently. And we recognize very early that the growth we're talking about won't come from just public sector. It has to happen through private sector investment. And of course, one of the major things that poses a huge threat to the spirit of enterprise is criminality, right? It also, as you know, drains the life of a city. So we recognize and realize that if we must go beyond posturing, if we must just go beyond the catch phrases and deal with the substance, we had to address the insecurity challenges, which was why within 72 hours of my swearing in, we made some consequential pronouncements. We made it clear that the so-called illegal sit-at-home order, which essentially has largely held our people, is almost like a stranglehold to our people. We felt that there's no way we could go out there to attract businesses or investors to Enugu State if we still have a situation where some criminals out there would sit somewhere and tell us the days in the week that we must go to work and the days we must sit at home. We just felt that that was unacceptable and was inexcusable. So we had to confront that frontally. And essentially what we did was to mobilize the security forces. There were a couple of radical things we had to do. Introducing the distress response squad. Making sure that we empower and enhance the capacity of our security agencies. And above all, we were also, because we have zero tolerance for crime, we also had to embark on introducing a technology platform that allows us to have a line of sight to whatever is going on in the state, so that even where you still have some breaches, we have the capacity to be able to solve it. And that's the real thing we believe that is important in security management, the ability to be able to identify, track, resolve crime promptly. And that's the sort of capacity we've built right now in the state.
No, I asked a definitive question about the sit-at-home syndrome. Have you successfully defeated that?
Well, I think we have resigned sit-at-home to one of those bad memories, things that existed that we do not want to even think about again. We no longer have the sit-at-home. I'm sure you would also bear a testimony to that. This is today, as you know, is a Monday. It's a working day for everybody in Enugu. Yes. People are going about their business, working. So it is not something we want to remember because it's devastating. It's done a lot of destruction to our psyche and even to our economy. So that's something we've put behind us.
And perhaps just to follow up on what Babajide asked about the sit-at-home. Sit-at-home is not only peculiar to Enugu State, it's a regional problem. And when we wonder, what did you do? And those who will be asking the question, maybe it's cosmetic, maybe it's just momentary or temporary. Because there are those who also will say this wasn't about guns and bullets. It could be mostly political and some form of carrot. Can you give us an insight on what you did, if you think that it has been nipped in the bud?
I think you did say something, that the primary responsibility of any government is the security and welfare of the people. And I think that that same sentiment is shared by a number of my other colleagues who are also in the region. So, I mean, it will be difficult to explain your reason for existence if you cannot, at the minimum, provide security for your people, right? So we know that this is above politics. We needed to rise beyond party or even tribal sentiments to address what is critical and what is a primary responsibility. And I think that's what I could say that also happened in the region, where we had to come together as a people and tell ourselves the hard truth, that look, if we must really move or even go a step further and achieve what we have promised our people, there is no way we can just pay lip service to insecurity. So we collaborate a lot, we share intel, and that is essentially where you need to go. We also had gone as far as even having a common command and control center where intel is shared and actions are promptly taken. And in some instances, there is also a joint operation. If we have to now narrow in on these criminals, because we know that, okay, there's nothing separating Enugu from Anambra, and that these guys can easily step out of Enugu and go into another state to hibernate, only to come back and hit. So we felt the need to collaborate and work in partnership to resolve this.
Because I will imagine that the agitation was what some people will say that has led to that. That phenomenon of sit-at-home, which became so popular and crippled the economy. And I hope that maybe our viewers can get more insight into whether this was largely criminality or political. But if you are able to answer that, also there are pockets of killings that we have heard in Uzowani, LGA, in Nimbo and Oba. And what are you doing to really deal decisively with some of these violent activities?
I think if you have also followed up events, you would recognize that there is no genuine agitator who believes in sit-at-home. That doesn't exist. It is not, I mean, think about it. Imagine depriving your kids, your children, the opportunity to sit for a national exam, denying them the thousands of learning hours that they would have in school. Imagine making it impossible for your people to develop infrastructure, because the contractors also would be impacted, right, for the days that they don't have to work. So they have to build all that in. So I don't think there is any person who is interested in his people or who wish his people well that would advocate for a seat at home, because that just destroys, it affects our work ethics, it impacts on our children, it affects our economy. So what we're dealing with, again, I don't think you would ever have a society where you're going to have zero crime, right? So what is important is that the state develops the capability to be able to identify, track, capture, and ensure that justice is done to whoever commits crime. And that's essentially, so we, as I said, we have zero tolerance for crime, and the people know it. So if you commit a crime here, you take steps to go kill somebody, we would do everything necessary to ensure. You may have followed the news recently where I had to make some pronouncement offering bounty to whoever could come up with an information leading to a particular breach of security that we had. And that's the position we take here. We frown at crime, so we have no tolerance for it.